Hello, BookShark BootCamp. It's your community manager, Janet, and today is Wednesday. It's November 19th, and this is your live Q&A for November. You guys had some great questions this month, so I am excited to dive in. I'm also happy to report that we are streaming also into the alum page on Facebook as well, which sometimes this works great and sometimes it doesn't. So hopefully everybody can hear me and everything is working and technology is just having a grade A day. So I'm in awe. I cannot believe that Thanksgiving is next week. I know I said last week in our live that I couldn't believe that Thanksgiving was 2 weeks away, and now we're down to a week. Whew, are you guys ready? Does everyone have like their stuff bought even? I have some of it bought. I think this weekend I was like, probably should buy some stuff. I don't know why it came up so quickly this year. Might just be the season, the busyness, the other things on my mind. I'm interested to see how you guys feel. If you felt like this year kind of just came through quick or you're totally prepared and ready to go. I'll put that in a post probably for tomorrow, but I just wanted you guys to kind of think about it now and see how you're feeling. I hope I'm not the only one that feels this way, but then again, you just never know. I'm kind of in my own little world sometimes over here, even though it seems as though I'm online and in front of everybody. In today's remote world, remote work, here we are. But we are here and we are going to jump right into the questions that were posted for our Q&A for today. So the first one, we had a Boot member ask, what is the difference between Language Arts 2 and Language Arts C? Great question. It is something that as a consumer of BookShark and an employee of BookShark, I have gone back and forth with product development, trying to understand how we can simplify the way that our system works. I will explain that the letters are our history. So history A all the way into high school are always going to be a letter. Our history and our science are both letters. But we thought, well, because when you're at the lower levels, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, maybe even fifth, there are some discrepancies in what students know and when they catch on or when their development for reading and writing kind of all clicks. And let me tell you, it's a beautiful thing that there are studies that show children who are early readers, they do well. They're not necessarily early writers. There are those who are delayed readers. They actually end up surpassing their early reader peers, and their writing comes a little bit easier because they were delayed in reading. And those two mechanisms are so different. It's the difference between decoding when you read something. And I've used this example before. If you've ever seen an excerpt where like some of the words are missing, your brain fills it in. That's decoding. You are figuring out, your brain is putting it in, you understand what's being said through context, through understanding what's happening through what you're reading. When you write, you are encoding, and you cannot encode before you can decode, which is very interesting. All that to be said, the language arts K1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5, I'll get into that maybe a little bit after the first of the year, we're toying with an idea of creating a 5, is referencing not only the reading level for that language arts, but also the writing level. Because our program integrates reading and writing using literature, there is a reading assessment and there is an LA assessment. That's for writing. It's for understanding grammar, mechanics of writing. So in history, stay with me, A, B, and C, you are able to customize your language arts with language arts K, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Once you get to level D, the language arts is integrated into the history. And from D all the way through high school, the history and the language arts are going to be the same letter designation. That means the books that are being read are not only age appropriate, they are in D, they are graded with grade level. So D, you can have regular readers, which is 3rd to 4th grade reading, or advanced readers, which is 5th to 6th grade, which really means that D can be used for 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th. I know, guys, that's crazy, but D is our most popular level, and a lot of families come into BookShark at D. So we have a lot of room to really see where they belong and then assess their reading with that reading assessment and then the language arts assessment. So it's it's confusing, but then once you kind of understand it, it's not. All that to be said, here's another loop in the system. If you start with our program at A and your kindergarten, you would naturally progress to B. So you would have language arts 1. You did language arts K with A, you'd have language arts 1. Then by C, you would have language arts 2. Some have said it's a big jump from language arts 2 to language arts D to go into history D, where it's integrated. That is why you have leveled readers, which is third and fourth grade, or advanced readers, which is fifth and sixth grade. We call that our transition level. There's also not created this way, but as a mom who's used the program and like many of you, there's things that are created a certain way and then things that practically just work better. You certainly can use language arts 3 or language arts 4 with level D or E. You just won't be getting the integration, and you'll actually have to buy a handful of more books to go with that language arts package, because in your history package is where you will get all of your reading packages, right? So that's a lot. One more thing to even make it is that once you get to level D, the language arts is not a standalone product. D through H is integrated in the fact that you may have your reading schedule still in language arts D through H, but your comprehension and your vocabulary switch, and it's now found in the history. Yeah, even saying it out loud for the 100th time, I also, like you, wonder, does this make the most sense? Yes and no. Believe me, we are working on it. Our product development team, our marketing team, we're all really trying to make it as user friendly as possible. All that to say, we have advisors. They're available Monday through Friday. They're all homeschool parents like you, like me, who use the product and can really help you understand what the next best steps are. I will also say, as you look into the future, it's great to have a plan, but know that things will change. What worked for your child this year may not work the same, or it may not work for a younger child. So while you plan ahead, just know to keep that flexibility in mind as you are working through not only our program, but all of homeschool. Okay. That leads me into our second question. Let me see if I can pull it up here. All right. So, how do you not public school at home and get finished in 36 weeks? There is more to this question. My banner wouldn't let me put it all in, but basically she was saying if I plan out my 36 weeks and we have to have an unexpected doctor's appointment, or somebody gets sick, or we do want to go on an extra field trip, what am I supposed to do with that day? You're telling me don't have them do school on the days that we do outings, and I'm gonna stick by that. It's important. But also, now I feel like I'm behind. Part of that question, and it might have been that same boot camper or somebody else who was feeling the same way. If you're in a program where you have to return your materials, so if you're with a charter school, if you're with a borrow program, any of those types of programs, they actually will have you return the books. That's how it worked for me when I started using BookShark. That being said, some of them should let you keep the instructor's guide. We consider that a consumable. If for some reason you have to give back everything that you borrowed from your district at the end of the year, I would consider photocopying the last couple weeks that you feel like you're not going to get done, or maybe just do it so you have some, you've built in some time if you do feel like you're not going to get it done by the time you have to drop off the box back to the school district. So you do have our permission from BookShark to photocopy for personal use. I would say, in order to kind of take that anxiety off of your shoulders, if you're feeling that way, to go ahead and just photocopy the last maybe 2 weeks or whatever you think. I think 2 weeks is probably a good number, but you decide. And that way you have the instructor's guide for those 2 weeks, you have the activities for those 2 weeks, and you can then either buy the book that you need or find it at your library. That's like the type A answer to the question. All right. Now remember, I'm a recovering type A. I consider myself an AB. Now, if you are not a type A and you are okay either not finishing your curriculum by the end of the time you have to put it back, which happens all the time. It happens in public school. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not about finishing, it's about learning. You don't have a problem with that. You either you move the day to the following day. If you keep your product, you will move it to the first time that you guys decide to crack a book for the next school year. So you just shift. It is very easy to do. For those AB like myself, I honestly would just put an X through the day. I was like, we're not going to do it. I'd skim through it, maybe make sure we didn't miss anything important, but so much of history is repeated, repeated, repeated. So much of language arts and grammar, repeated, repeated, repeated. Skipping through one day because you had an opportunity to go do something and you weren't going to be bound to the instructor's guide. You were going to let it guide you, but you're in charge. Put an X through it. Don't do it. Do the next thing. And you say, okay, but if you're reading a book, you can't really put an X to the book. Well, that's where I would say you certainly could come home from your day and do the read aloud. I would just do the read aloud. Or if for the independent reader, I just move it back a day and then maybe they'll have to read on a weekend. Not a big deal. It's just reading. It's not that tedious to do. So those are your options. I will also say, in practicality, there are times where we just closed a book. It wasn't working out for us, or I felt too behind, and then I took it and I opened it back up later on, either during winter break or summer break, and we finished it and ended up being a really good book. One that comes to mind immediately is I Rode the Horse of Milk White Jade from Level F. Phenomenal book, but it wasn't working at the time we were reading it. So I just stopped it. I didn't have to feel behind anymore. We kind of just worked through the language arts without doing anything that was tied to the story, and we finished the story later at Christmas time. So those are some options for you guys. What I want to encourage you is to remember that part of homeschool is about doing things your way and making it work for your family. So you're not supposed to make your family work for the curriculum. You are supposed to make the curriculum work for your family. Caveat: if you are with a charter, if you are with a school district, they do have parameters that you have to stay in. That I can't speak to because everyone is different. They have different parameters. But I do want you to know that there are very creative ways to stay within those parameters. If you have more questions, if you have specific questions, please utilize our advisors. We would love to give you some tips and tricks on how to do that. But I do want you to know that it's normal to want to recreate that public system at home because that is what we know. And it's very comforting, especially when we're stepping out and doing something that is new to us as the parents. And our motivation is we don't want to mess our kids up. We don't want our kids to miss something or have a foundational building block that somehow we were like, oh, we never gave that to them. Think about when you were younger, especially. If you were sick and you had to miss a couple days, yeah, maybe somebody sent some worksheets home with you, but nothing in a week was going to derail your education for the rest of your life. So I hope that is an answer to the question. I hope it's encouraging. Please go to the museum, take those field trips, have those experiences that you can't have if you are sitting at a desk at a brick and mortar. Use the field trip guides that are in the back of the instructor's guide to fill them out so that you can feel academic about the things that you're doing if you need to. If you're the type of person that needs that permission, I'm going to give that to you. And I just want to say that you're doing a great job. You're not going to do it perfectly. You're going to make mistakes, but you're not going to mess up your kids. Your kids are not going to fall behind to the point where they're just never going to catch up again. Take the day off, have the fun, make the memories, because in that is learning, that adventure, that is showing your kids that you're able to adjust and not just do what you were told. Because it would be so easy if we just took the guide and we did what we were told and we didn't think creatively or think outside the box, even within a homeschool program. You guys are learning right alongside your kids if you were not homeschooled yourselves. I was homeschooled and I still had to remind myself to get outside the box, to be creative. It was okay to take a deep breath. So I hope some of those tips help you. Have some permission, especially with the holidays coming in. One reminder is back in the beginning, back in January, or sorry, back in July, when we first started the boot camp, we talked about the schedule and the calendar. We talked about building in a flex day, talked about putting your start and end date, making sure you built in your time for breaks and vacations and the days off that you were needing. I would go back and look at that and really make sure that instead of getting stressed about what you may miss out or what you may have to cut out, go back at your calendar and look at the days that you can adjust. I promise you, I don't care where in the United States you live, there are going to be days in January or February that you're not going to have anything planned. You can get an extra day in there. Don't worry about it. You're having fun, you're learning a new way, you're adapting. And in adapting and learning, you're going to fail at some things, but I promise you, you're not going to fail your kids because you are here and you bought a curriculum that has been time tested, that has great methodology, and you are learning with your kids and showing them what it means to be adventurous and take some chances. So I'm proud of you. I hope you're proud of yourself. Happy Thanksgiving. I will be back in December. I have some really fun ideas for you for some holiday schooling if you're interested in that. I'm working on my list and all the resources. I'm excited to share that with you guys in our December live. Keep those questions coming. We'll hope to get those answered for you. Have a great week. And again, happy Thanksgiving, guys. Till next time. Bye-bye.